Morning all. Alright, so career video to start things off today, and it is based on me misspeaking yesterday, mentioning Bedard and saying Berard instead a couple of times. And this is what happens as you get older. You have names that remind you of other names, you have fathers and sons and uncles and nephews and all this, and sometimes you'll just say the wrong name. It just happens. Bryan Berard was really a player who could have been a superstar in the NHL. Absolutely. He was the number one draft pick in 1995 by the Ottawa Senators. And he never played a game for the Sens. He ends up being traded on January 23rd of 1996 to the New York Islanders, along with Don Beaupre and Martin Straka, in exchange for Wade Redden and Damian Rhodes. So, pretty big deal. Redden, young kid going one way. Berard, young kid going the other way. And the idea was, defenseman for defenseman, goalie for goalie, and then, you see how it all turns out. But the first year, Berard made this look pretty good. 96, 97, and 82 games. He had 8 goals, 40 assists, 48 points. He won the Calder Trophy that year. Smart in both ends of the rink. Good player, really, really solid upside. 97, 98, still playing for the Islanders. Plays 75 games, 14 goals, 32 assists, 46 points. So during an era where scoring has come down, he's scoring pretty well. Double digits in goals, 46 points. Definitely noteworthy for a defenseman. 98, 99, 31 games played with the Islanders. 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points. But then he's traded again. So for the second time early in his career, he's been traded. January 9th, he's traded with a 1999 sixth-round pick in exchange for a sixth-round pick in 99 as well as Felix Potvin. So Felix Potvin going to the Islanders, Berard going to Toronto, teams with different needs. And after being traded to Toronto, he has a pretty good run. 38 games in 98-99, 5 goals, 14 assists, 19 points. So he has 34 points overall in 69 games. In the playoffs, he adds a goal and 8 assists for 9 points in 17 games. However, the following season, 99-2000, is where disaster strikes. So he plays 64 games, 3 goals, 27 assists, 30 points. So the overall points total is down a bit, maybe from where you'd want it to be. However, March the 11th, 2000, what shortens that season is that Marian Hossa is just an errant stick. A stick catches Berard in the eye. He ended up with a retinal tear, detached retina. And, of course, that's pretty major. Now, Berard right away in the hospital is saying, I will play again, even though there was a lot of speculation about whether or not he would. So he misses the rest of the 99-2000 season and misses the entire 2000-2001 season. He underwent seven eye surgeries in order to try to improve his vision. He gets it to 20/600, meaning that at 20 feet, what we can see, it's 600 feet before he can see it. And that's, it's just blurry to him, right? So he ended up with a contact lens that got his vision to 20/400, which is the absolute league minimum, meaning that he had one eye he really couldn't see very well out of it all, right? So with that in place, on October the 5th of 2001, he signs as a free agent with the New York Rangers. So Toronto did not opt to keep him around. And so he signs with the Rangers. 82 games that year for the Rangers, 2 goals, 21 assists, 23 points. And I remember that season there was a lot of speculation about whether or not his career was essentially kind of done because of his vision problems. And he just didn't seem to be the same player he had been previously in New York and in Toronto. However, he goes to free agency and signs with the Boston Bruins on August the 13th of 2002 as a free agent. And in Boston, things get better. 80 games, 10 goals, 28 assists, 38 points. He adds 1 goal in the 3 playoff games he played. Now, he ends up going to arbitration with the Bruins. The arbitrator awarded, I think it was a 2.5-year contract, or a $2.5 million contract for a year, and the Bruins walked away, which makes him a free agent again. So, October the 31st of 2003, he actually signs with the Chicago Blackhawks. That year, 58 games with the Blackhawks, and his numbers are fantastic. 13 goals, 34 assists, 47 points. Now, defensively, the lack of vision and just, various other things we'll talk about here, it does affect his game. So, he's very good, power play, he's very good offensively, but the defensive numbers are kind of scary for him. And they're the kind of numbers that if you'd put them up 20 years earlier, I don't think people would have paid as much attention to the defensive part of it with him. They would have probably seen more of the offensive side, especially since in the 80s he would have probably been putting up more than a point per game, right? But at any rate, he wins the Masterton trophy, which of course is for sticking with it and not giving up on the game, which is important. So then we have the 04-05 season, which of course does not happen. The lockout instead. So 05-06, he ends up signing on August the 3rd of 2005 with Columbus. And he played 44 games with Columbus that year, 12 goals, 20 assists, 32 points. So what happened there? Well, he had a back injury that ended the 05-06 season, and then he needed a surgery for a herniated disc, which was related, and that ended his 06-07 season. So he only plays 44 games in 05-06. 06-07, he only plays 11 games, gets 3 assists, and Columbus ends up waiving him. So for Berard, this is a tough break because it looked like he was getting his game back, and now his back is bothering him. And so he ends up being a free agent yet again, and October the 9th of 2007, he signs with the New York Islanders. He's back. And the Islanders are over their fisherman phase and the other awkward post-fisherman, but trying to keep the fisherman look-around phase. So in what would be his final year in the NHL, he plays 54 games with the Islanders, but it had clearly, he clearly dropped off in his play. 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points. So for the 2008-2009 season, he ends up signing in the KHL, and he would play a decent number of games, but he doesn't end up playing the full season, and he ends up being forced to retire after that 08-09 season. So any maybe hope for a comeback to the NHL, it's scuttled by his back. So even though he has one good eye, it's the back that ends up betraying him and ends up shortening his career. If not for his back issues, who knows? You know, he might have played a lot more. So he was the first. I have to throw this in here as well because it would get mentioned in the comments, but I wanted to put this into perspective. So he's the first NHLer to test positive for steroids. It was a test from 2005, November of 2005. The result became public 2006. Now, the NHL did not issue any kind of a suspension for this, but he was banned 2 years from international play, which I don't think affected him. I don't think he would have been playing for Team USA anyways. So he stated that it wasn't intentional, that it was an accident. And I'm going to say this, with all the injuries he's had, I wouldn't be surprised if he was prescribed steroids. That absolutely can happen. And I mean, 2005, November of 05 especially, yeah, they weren't playing hockey in the NHL at that point. So yeah, that's one thing that I have to throw out there. But again, I kind of trust that, yeah, he was having problems with his back. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that a doctor would write up a prescription and he might not know what's in it, might not have done his due diligence. But at any rate, it is just, it's one of those things. It just happened the one time. And like I said, the NHL didn't suspend him or anything. And his back really shortened his career from there. So this will go in the career videos playlist, as well as the careers that were too short playlist too. But there's Bryan Berard. So every time I misspeak with Bedard and I say Berard, it's because Bryan Berard kind of gets stuck in your head a little bit. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.